We're here in the Aviva fans studio in the Aviva Stadium, looking forward to Saturday's FAI Junior Cup final. I'm delighted to be joined by Brian Kerr as we take you through the pathway for the teams in getting to the final. Brian, obviously we're looking ahead to Sheriff, Evergreen, a brilliant final about to take place, but we're just going to go through some of the games that obviously in the teams getting here, and I think Evergreen we're going to look at first, and in particular a player Sean Barco, who you've been really impressed with, and his performance against Willow Park.
Yeah, I've watched the highlights from those games, and I think Sean is a key player for them with Brian Jordan in the middle of midfield, but not alone as a midfield player. He's also a goal scorer. He scored key goals for them in vital matches. He's a real threat at set pieces. They use him with long throw-ins from Earls, from up anywhere near the end line. He's really dangerous in the box. But as well as that, he's great skill on the ball in midfield area. He's able to control it, and he sees the pass, he sees the runner. He's fed in Mickey Drennan for vital goal against Kilmallock. And overall, he's the main man. He's going to need other players to do their stuff on the day too.
I think that's the key one, because against Kilmallock in particular, he seems to have struck up a relationship with Mikey Drennan, because he set up the goal, and obviously just after that there was a nice passage of play as well. So there seems to be an understanding between the two. Yeah,
but good players, they're able to get time and space in midfield to see the runs, and we know that Mikey Drennan has a special ability. He was a lad as an underage international player for Ireland. He was outstanding. He was the player of the year at under 16 level. Was in a really, really top Aston Villa underage side. And then he came home, and I was very impressed with him at times at Shamrock Rovers. And it's a pity he's not in the League of Ireland. I think he's good enough to be playing the League of Ireland if he wants to go back there. But he's, again, a player who's probably above the level he's actually playing at the moment. But he'll still find it very tough in the final. But his goals have been key to this. Very important goal against Boyle Celtic in the semi-final. Again, off that long throw in. No real touch the ball, but he's in the space, saw what was going to happen, anticipated that it might break for him, and he was in to finish in a flash and get them back into the match when it seemed like it may be slipping away on them.
That seems to be a ploy from Evergreen from what we've seen them as well, because they're a big, strong, physical team, particularly Barco, as you mentioned, and the long throw has been key for them, hence that goal Drennan got in the semi-final.
Yeah, but they have a little bit more as well as that. They got Conor English, who got a great goal with a free kick against Willow Park, stuck one over the wall. They have the guile, the know-how and experience that Drennan already has. They've got good strength at the back. Neil Andrews, Dylan Weirty in the centre-back position. Again,
I thought they were particularly strong now in the semi-final.
Yeah, well, I think Andrew's experience of the League of Ireland experience and background, very important. They've had to chop and change the left-back position a little bit, and that could be a worrying area for them, because Sheriff are very strong on both flanks. I mean, they're a strong team everywhere, but I think they've got to be solid defensively, and of course they're going to need the goalkeeper.
Exactly, and a man that you know very well, Packy Holan, is a bit of a character, Packy, a huge experience, and he came to the fore again in the semi-final after a mistake he made earlier in the match.
Yeah, and you know, a very important role, a difficult role as player manager, playing in goal. Packy was involved in my youth teams many years ago when he showed himself with potential at that time, and has had a very solid career. Has had some time in the League of Ireland, but doing a great job with his local club. Gave away a silly penalty in that semi-final.
Especially of a man of his experience, it was a sloppy mistake.
Yeah, it was a bad mistake. He was in a position where there wasn't a real threat. But then he goes on from there and rescued his team with a couple of great saves in the penalty shootout. And he was very, very emotional indeed after the match about them getting there. I mean, you can understand the whole emotion around this situation for Evergreen. They haven't been in the final since 1984. I think I might have been at that one when they played Begsborough. They lost to Begsborough in '84. But you know, return to the final itself, it's a magnificent achievement for a
I think
let's say a rural club.
Yeah, and I think the achievement, Brian, I agree with you. It makes it all that more special because there's so few teams in their own domestic league that they're playing. I think they have 2 teams in the Premier Division themselves, so there's only 6 teams in total. So it makes that achievement all the more remarkable.
Yeah, it does. But I suppose there's some advantage in that it also means that the players are a bit fresher for the big task ahead. And once you get your eye on it by about round 4 or 5, you start to think, well, could we go all the way here? And you look, these teams are at a situation where it's actually the 9th round for them. It's an amazing achievement to get so far. And I think it's always wonderful when there's a non-Dublin team and a Dublin team in the final, as there is at the FAI Senior Cup, but even more so at Junior Cup level.
And of course, in getting to the final, they face probably the toughest of them all in Sheriff YC, who have an unbelievable pedigree really in this competition in recent years. Brian winning it 3 times in the last 5, getting beaten the final as well by Liffey Wanderers in 2015. So a really, really tough task. And Sheriff, I haven't been overly impressed with them. They've been doing enough in getting to the final, but one of the performances I thought was their standout was against Usher Celtic, where they won 5-2, and they were excellent on the night, particularly Darren Dunn. He scored the first goal in that match. He was excellent. He's been excellent throughout. I think he's probably their best player. And also Paul Murphy, who's their talisman at right full, in breaking forward. He's almost more like a winger than a right full, a real modern day Danny Alves, Cafu type.
Yeah.
But they're very, very strong, Sheriff YC.
Yeah, well, look, you've gone through it there, and this is an amazing achievement. 5 finals in 6 seasons in a competition. I mean, 660 teams in this competition this year. It wouldn't have been many less than any of the other years. And to get through round after round, season after season, is an extraordinary achievement. And they have had a very difficult road. We spoke about it earlier, where they had a game earlier this season where they were down to 9 men for most of the match and managed to get to a penalty shootout and win. And that has been the case when it's been required. Lee Murphy has done his stuff. He gave away what was a soft penalty in Killarney in the semi-final. But again, having given away the goal, conceded a late goal, from a game where they looked like we're going to win with Thomas Dunn's goal in extra time, he then comes out, does his stuff, saves a penalty, scores a penalty, saves another penalty, and gets them through the final. I mean, it's right or over stuff. He may not be as busy and will probably be hoping not to be as important in this final. But that was a remarkable job he did in Killarney in the semi-final.
Yeah, and I think Lee is another one, even to touch on your point with Mikey Drennan. I think Lee is one who should be playing at a higher level. He could be playing League of Ireland, no problem as well. He has all the attributes to be a top goalkeeper. And as you say, he was excellent in the semi-final against Killarney. We were down there, a great occasion. His brother Anto as well has popped up with some important goals. The header as well in one of the games, I think it was against Peak Villa away from home. And John Rock, who's the veteran striker. Yeah. And he always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Look, Anto has come out of the League of Ireland after about 15 years, I think, in the League of Ireland. Anto had, and he was a very good player in the League of Ireland. Another player who was very effective at set pieces and throw-ins and corners. But then he's able to get on the end of things in the penalty area and get headers on goal himself. Very clever player, and the experience of the Murphys, and there's a gang of them in the team, once again will be key.
They're real streetwise players, aren't they?
They are. Well, they're streetwise fellas. They've been around the block so many times. They've seen it all. They've come back in matches where they've been behind. They've delivered in matches where they've had players sent off. They've taken advantage of the opposition having players sent off. And all that experience is very, very important when it comes to the final. But it doesn't mean that Evergreen won't be able to do them on the day. You mentioned the likes of John Rock scoring goals when they need a goal. Darren Dunn in the middle of the field. You think he's been their best player this season, and I'll bow to your judgment on that. But he's been on the in the goals as well. And they have goals in their team when they need them. They've had for several seasons now. They seem to be able to pull out a goal when they need it. So it's going to be a hard task for Evergreen. But for Evergreen to beat this Sheriff side. But who knows, on the day, if they can produce the goods and those key players can pull in the other players around them and be nice and compact and don't give anything away too easily, they could do it.
Yeah, I have a squeaky feeling for Evergreen. I think I was very impressed with them. Over the 2 semi-finals, Brian, I felt it was the better standard of match. The Boyle Celtic versus Evergreen, it was excellent. Both teams, Boyle included. And for them to come through that, I think they have a spring in their step. Obviously, Drennan, there's something a bit special about him at this level in particular. Barco as well, the big pitch, the broad lad on.
I think what the key on that was, Alan, the pitch was in such good condition in Sligo. It made it for a better match that both teams could show their footballing ability in that game. The boys Celtic played very well, and would consider themselves.
And they can have no excuse with the pitch here on Saturday.
No, and that's right. So this situation here with the big wide open spaces in the stadium, it allows for the footballers to play, and it allows for the attackers like English and Brennan, who wouldn't always get a lot of space in some of the tight, let's say, all-weather pitch matches that we've seen in the competition earlier on. They will find space here, and the centre-backs, McDermott and Kavanagh, will need to be on the ball and fully concentrated, not to give away chances against this pairing. I think they've got a good pairing up there, and with Barker's runs from midfield, if they can get some possession. But the key to it will be to stay in the game and get some possession, not be overawed by the occasion, by the venue, and by what's at stake.
Okay, so there you have it. We've taken you through the strengths and weaknesses. I, for one, am really looking forward to this, Brian. I think it's going to be, out of all the finals in recent times, I think this is building up to be a really, really special one. Hopefully that's the case. And we look forward to you joining myself, Kevin Kilban, and Brian Kerr on the day. Thank you.